The next type of compound inequality we're going to look at are the AND compound inequalities. So if you look at these, you don't see the word AND, but when the variable is on the inside of your inequality symbols, then this is an AND situation. So you're going to graph what they have in common. So when you have to solve this, you're trying to get the variable by itself. So what I do is I like to draw lines down each inequality so that it separates out my inequality. So my goal is to get the variable by itself. So we've got this m minus 4, so we need to get rid of the minus 4. So just like normal, to get rid of a minus 4, we would add 4. And we're going to do that in all 3 sections. So that's why I draw those lines, to help show myself that I need to do it in each section if you do it in one section. So negative 3 plus 4 is 1. In the middle we just have an m now, and on the right side we have a 3. So what's going on with this number line? If you want to see it in its total form, I have the 1, I have the 3, we've got a 0. If I graphed m is greater than or equal to 1, that would be a solid dot at 1, and then all the numbers greater than 1. And then m is less than 3 is this part, so I would have an open dot, and then less than 3. However, because this is an AND situation, we only want to graph what they have in common, like the center of the Venn diagram. So I would actually then just keep this part that they have here in the middle where they overlapped each other, like an overlap in a Venn diagram, and I would erase the edges. What you could do instead of drawing those and erasing is you could just see it as I've got a 1 on one end, I've got a 3 on the other end, and then m is in the middle, so I'm just going to graph what's in the middle of those. So whenever I see the variable in the middle, I don't do the whole erasing thing. I just say the variable is in the middle of those 2 numbers, I put the dots, and then I graph in the middle of those 2 numbers. So that's what I'll do on the next one. So here, same idea, I'm going to split it up into 3 parts. Remember, we always start with what we're adding or subtracting, so we're going to have to move this minus 4. So we're going to do the same thing to all 3 sections. So we've got a 3y is greater than 2 and less than 18. Then we still have to get rid of this 3, so we're going to divide by 3 in all 3 sections. So we're left with 2/3 is less than y is less than 6. So it's okay to get fractions. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It just means we got a fraction. So for our number line, we're going to have 2/3 and 6 and zeros over here. Both of these are going to be open dots. And then y is in the middle of 2/3 and 6, so we are going to graph the middle of 2/3 and 6. If you wanted to write either of those in interval notation, remember if we've got from 1 to 3, 1 is on the left side, so I'm going to do a bracket for 1 to include the 1, and then 3 is the right side, and I'm going to do parenthesis because it's not equal to. So that would be interval notation for this inequality. This one would be the same idea. It starts at 2/3 on the left and then goes to 6 on the right, and both of those would be parentheses because neither of them are equal to. For these inequalities, instead of having the variable be in the center of 2 inequalities, they've actually used the word AND. So when you do that, remember we're looking for what they have in common. So if I draw my number line, I've got x is less than 3. So I'm just going to start putting 3 and -2 on the number line. So x is less than 3, we're going to have an open dot at 3, and then we're less than 3. And then x is less than or equal to -2, so I'm going to have a solid dot at -2, and then we're going less than -2. So because and is what they have in common, so where they overlap each other, we're going to erase anywhere where they don't overlap. So here they don't overlap at all, so our inequality is going to start here at -2 and then go forever to the negative infinity. Another example similar to that is the next one. So we've got -1 and 4. So x is greater than or equal to -1. So we've got a solid dot at -1, and then we're going to numbers greater than -1. And then we have an open dot at 4, and then we're going to numbers greater than 4. And because this is an and situation, we only want what they have in common. So we're going to erase anywhere where you don't see both colors. So I'm going to erase all of this. And then the dot here, because it's an open dot, it would still stay an open dot because it would have to be, they don't really overlap there because this is already open. So remember, and means what they have in common, so we kept the parts where they overlapped and we erased everything else. So now that you've tried those, now that you've seen those, why don't you go and try some on your own?